Bye. Thank you, Madanji. Yeah, Radhe Radhe. Good morning, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita session. Radhe Radhe, Nitinji, over to you.
Radhe Radhe, thank you, Pallaviji. Thank you, Sunil Bhai and Madanji, for a wonderful session as always. Good morning, good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's edition of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. Today we are going to take Shloka 4.20 and really understand the concept, whether the external acts matter or your inner thought process or where your mind is. We're going to reinforce that concept with some analogies and what Lord Krishna is telling us about that. And then I look forward to another engaging discussion around what is true detachment. So welcome again, everyone. Let's get started with our opening prayers. Let me share my screen. All right, we'll get started with our opening prayers then. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening again, everyone. So let's get started. Today we are on 4.20. Indian penal code is not very supportive of, not supportive, it's a pretty interesting 420, right? No correlation with that whatsoever, just a coincidence. So let's get started with today's shloka. Tyaktva karma phala sangam nityatripto nirashrayah karmanyabhipravrattopi naiva kinchit karoti saha. All right, do we have any?
Yes, there are a lot of people who have raised hand. Samji, Radhe Radhe, you're first. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Tyakva karma phala sangam nityatrupto nirashrayah karmanyabhipravrittopi naiva kinchit karoti saha. Radhe Radhe.
Looks like Samji, you've been practicing it for the last 1 week. That was pretty fluent. Wonderful. Good. Radhe Radhe Prabhuji.
Yes, Surendraji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Surendraji.
Radhe Radhe Prabhu. Tyaktva karma phala sanga nitya drapto nirashraya karmanya bhi pravartopi naiva kinchit kroti saha. Radhe Radhe.
Surendraji, did you not go to Palampur?
Yeah, I'm going tomorrow night.
Okay, I did text you. Hope you got the message.
No, I have not received so far.
Okay, the mobile you sent, I did send. I called you as well. I hope that's your. Anyway, we can connect later. But I did text you on the mobile that you gave, and we have public record of that mobile, by the way. So, all right.
The mobile number I gave you.
You can text me again just to make sure it's the correct one. All right, let's move on.
Thank you.
Yes, Radhe Radhe, Ashutoshji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Ashutoshji.
Tyaktva karma phala sangam nityatipto nirasrayah karmanyabhipravrittopi naiva kinchit karoti saha.
Very nice, Ashutoshji. Radhe Radhe.
I see a new name, Meena Ji. So I'll like to give her a chance first.
Meena Ji.
Yes, Meena Ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. 1 minute, Bhaiya.
Yeah, you can. you're audible.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. Yes, Bhaiya. Radhe Radhe to everyone.
Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
त्यक्त्वा कर्मफलसङ्गं नित्यतृप्तो निराश्रयः कर्मण्यभिप्रवृत्तोऽपि नैव किञ्चित् करोति सः.
Very nice. Thank you, Meenaji. Where are you joining us from?
Virginia.
Virginia. All right. You get the best debut award for recitation today. Thank you.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe. All right. Let's take a few more participants and then we'll get started.
Yes. Sandhya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
त्यक्त्वा कर्मफलासङ्गं नित्यतृप्तो निराश्रयः कर्मण्यभिप्रवृत्तोऽपि नैव किञ्चित् करोति सः.
Very nice, Sandhya. Wonderful. All
Payal
right.
ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Payal ji.
त्यक्त्वा कर्मफलासङ्गं नित्यतृप्तो निराशयः प्रवृत्तोऽपि नैव किञ्चित् करोति सः.
Yes.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Payal ji. It's karmanya bhipravrittopi. Bhiproti.
Karmanya.
Bhipravrittopi. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you. All right. Let's
Thank
take.
you, Payal ji. Yeah, Ramya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go
Radhe
ahead.
Radhe, Shramya.
राधे राधे. त्यक्त्वा कर्मफलासङ्गं नित्यतृप्तो निराश्रयः कर्मण्यभिप्रवृत्तोऽपि नैव किञ्चित् करोति सः.
Very nice. Thank you, Shri Ramya. Okay, we have a few more hands. I'll take them
Yes.
quick.
Sam ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
त्यक्त्वा कर्मफलासङ्गं नित्यतृप्तो निराश्रया कर्मण्यभिप्रवृत्तोऽपि नैव किञ्चित् करोति सः.
Very
Radhe Radhe.
nice, Sam ji. Wonderful. Radhe Radhe. Okay, we have 3 more hands. We can.
Yes. Shyam ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Sham ji.
राधे राधे. त्यक्त्वा कर्मफलासङ्गं नित्यतृप्तो निराश्रयः कर्मण्यभिप्रवृत्तोऽपि नैव किञ्चित् करोति सः. राधे राधे.
Sham ji, Radhe Radhe. All right, let's take Pragi ji.
Pragi ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe ji.
Sorry. त्यक्त्वा कर्मफलासङ्गं नित्यतृप्तो निराश्रया कर्मण्यभिप्रवृत्तोऽपि नैव किञ्चित् करोति सः.
Very nice, Pragi ji. Radhe Radhe. Okay.
Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
Quite a few hands have mushroomed up.
Yeah, now hands are.
Okay,
More
let's
hands are.
freeze the screen now. Okay, so whoever is there, let's go there. Quickly take those. We can take
Yes.
spare.
Kumar ji, Radhe Radhe, please go
Radhe
ahead.
Radhe. Yeah, this is my first time, so let me try this.
Right. So you are vying for the best debut award today. Okay.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, someone already has done it so well. Okay, let me try it. Again, I leave the results to God.
Sure.
Okay. Tyaktva karma phala sangam nityatೃಪ್तो nirashrayah karmanyabhipruptopi naivam kinchat karoti saha.
Very nice, Kumar ji. I think it was a photo finish, but Meena ji still gets it. So thank you very much. You're a
Thank you,
close.
Radhe Radhe.
Very nice, though. Okay. Last 2, and then we'll get
Yes.
started.
Riya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
त्यक्त्वा कर्मफलासङ्गं नित्यतृप्तो निराश्रयः कर्मण्यभिप्रवृत्तोऽपि नैव किञ्चित् करोति सः.
Wonderful, Riya ji. Nice. All right, we're down to the last two. Let's do that. Last but one.
Yes. Akshata ji, Radhe Radhe, please.
Radhe Radhe.
All right, last one. Last but not the least, Lakshmi ji, please go ahead.
Lakshmi ji, Radhe Radhe, please.
Radhe Radhe. Tyaktva karma phala sangam nityatripto nirashraya karmanya pravrittopi naiva kinchit karoti saha.
Very
Radhe
nice.
Radhe.
Thank you, Radhe Radhe. So let's get started. Today's shloka. So in this, Lord Krishna is saying that such people, having given up attachment to the fruits of their actions. Now, if you look at it in context, in the previous one, Lord Krishna spoke about purifying the desires. Right? How do we purify the desire? How do we sublimate the desire? When we burn it in the fire of knowledge. Furthermore, Lord Krishna is going on to add that such people, having given up attachment to the fruits of their actions, because they understand the higher principle around it, they are always satisfied and not dependent on external things, despite engaging in activities. They do not do anything at all. Okay, so this is a concept. But he's actually giving the same concept through different angles. And when we'll go through it, you'll understand this is the concept we have spoken about. So let's go into today's shloka then. So in order to illustrate this point, there is a beautiful stories in our Puranas. Okay, so let's get to the story then. Story time today. Now the gopis, who are the parikashtha or the epitome of devotion, the cowherd women of Vrindavan, they once kept a fast. And the ceremony of breaking the fast required them to feed a sage. That is what was expected of them. They wanted to do that. So the gopis, they make an entry. And as they would do, mostly they go to Lord Krishna, and Lord Krishna advises them. They Krishna tell us, how do we, conclude our fast? Which sage can we go to? So Lord Krishna, he gives them an advice. He says, go to an elevated ascetic who lives on the other side of river Yamuna, and his name is Durvasa. Okay, sage Durvasa. You would have heard about sage Durvasa, known for his temper. His seva is to trouble the devotees so that God comes and God gets glorified even further. Right? So he said, go to the other side of Yamuna and feed him, and that will basically help you conclude your fast. So gopis, they prepared a delicious feast and they started off. Okay, now what happens? They found Yamuna. As you see Yamuna, so Shyamji is looking at it closely, not the Delhi Yamuna anymore, but this is how Yamuna used to be previously. It was very turbulent that day, and no boatman was willing to ferry them across. So they are supposed to go to the other side, but no boatman came because it was very turbulent that day. Now they come back to Krishna and ask his help. That, okay, what do we do basically? We want to go to the other side to feed Durvasa, but what do we do? So Lord Krishna tells him that go and tell Yamuna that if Krishna is an Akhanda Brahmachari, perfectly celibate since birth, it should give them way. That's what Krishna tells them. So gopis, what is their reaction? Gopis, they started laughing. It's like, are you kidding? We all, right? Krishna's leelas with gopis. So now they felt that Krishna used to dote upon them, as he always used to do that. So there was no question of him being an Akhanda Brahmachari. But anyways, they thought, because Krishna is saying that, so might as well go and try it. And when it will not happen, we'll come back to him and say, this is what happened. So they go. So they requested river Yamuna in that manner. They said that if Krishna is Akhanda Brahmacharya, then please give us way. And guess what happens? there's a beautiful flower way that is laid in front of the gopis as soon as they say that. So Yamuna is happy to give them way so that they can cross over and go to the other end to feed Durvasa. And they were astonished. When it happened, they were astonished that Yamuna are actually giving them way. And they reasoned to Yamuna actually agreed with the statement that they made that Krishna was an Akhand Brahmachari. So they were astonished. Nevertheless, they had to go on the other side. So they went to meet sage Durvasa. Now what happens when they went to the other side? When they went to the other side, now sage Durvasa, they had prepared a lot of stuff, as you can see, right? They requested him to accept the delicious meal, too many varieties of meals that they had prepared and bought from him. But being an ascetic, he ate only a small portion, which disappointed the gopis. It happens to us as well, right? When a guest comes and we prepare a lot of stuff and they don't eat all the stuff that we have prepared, we become disappointed. It happens. So gopis, they felt disappointed as well. With a lot of love and endeavor, they had prepared that, and Durvasa just had a little bit of it. Now Durvasa, in order to make them feel good, he, through his mystic powers, he was able to eat everything. He said, okay, bring it on. And he finished off everything, whatever gopis gave him. And gopis were obviously amazed to see him eat so much. And they were pleased that finally, their food was lying in the place where they intended it to be, which was in Durvasa's stomach. Now, time for them to go back again. They had to go back. And what happens this time around? So again, they are going back, and Durvasa tells them to tell. This time again, Yamuna, they had to contend with Yamuna, overflowing Yamuna. Previous time they got away. This time Durvasa tells them that, tell Yamuna that Durvasa has not eaten anything. Just a doob. Doob is basically a dhruv, right, which we use in puja as well. That much quantity of grass he ate, or tasted for that matter. And if that is the case, the river should give you way. And gopis, they started laughing again. They had seen him eat pretty much all that they had prepared. So that extravagant meal, but nevertheless, like previous time, they again told Yamuna the same. And then what happens? Yamuna again gives them way very nicely. So again, they were astonished that two out of two times what they thought was happening was completely opposite to what they thought was the case. So the point here is being, let's look at the concept, underlying concept around it now. Now they went to Lord Krishna again and asked them what is the secret behind what they had just witnessed twice, not just once, but twice. And this is Lord Krishna, as he's going to explain, is again illustrations of inaction in action that we have spoken about in the past. There's a lot of action happening on the outside, but inside, that action is not happening. They have reached that stage. God is God, of course, but Sage Durvasa is also at that stage here where he was able to basically align with the principle of inaction in action. So Lord Krishna explained that God and saints, they appear to engage in material activities externally. Internally, they are always transcendentally situated. They are not catering to, yesterday we spoke about this principle, two kinds of desires. One, you are actually catering to your mind and or senses or body. So saints, and they have actually risen above that part where they are no longer basically catering to or doing it for the sake of enjoyment of their senses or their body. We are serving ourselves, but their definition of I is much deeper than our definition of I. Our definition of I is me, so and so, this body, this mind, and that is why we cater to our senses. Their definition of I goes much deeper. They are situated in the understanding that they are a divine soul and a fragment part of God itself. And as part of fragmental part of God, their first, foremost, and the only duty is to serve God. That becomes their dharma. So depending upon the definition of I that we carry in our intellect, our dharma changes. And in order to balance that, God has given us, because we are at the bodily level. We are not at the level of those sages as yet. We are not at the level where we have a realization that we have a soul. We know we are a soul, but we don't have that realization. So in order to do that balancing act, Lord Krishna has given us the concept of Karam Yoga. You continue to be in the bodily conception, but in your mind, you start attaching it to God, start offering the fruits to God. So that is a balancing act that Lord Krishna has given us, that beautiful nugget in Bhagavad Gita, so that while we continue to think ourselves as a body, continue to do your duties around, continue to do the conflict of interest you may have around your work, family, and all that stuff, but offer the fruits to God, and that will do the trick for you. So that is what Lord Krishna is saying. And then he says, although interacting with gopis externally, Sri Krishna was an Akhanda Brahmachari internally. Now, God and saints, whatever act they do, right? People who tend to go to the 10th Adhyaya directly of Bhagavatam and they say, Krishna did Maharas and this, they have to understand. They do it for the welfare of the soul itself. People who had reached gopis, right? Those souls who had perfected their devotion and Madhurya Bhav, that perfect selfless love, in order to grace them, Lord Krishna indulges in those pastimes. One of the definitions of God is Atmarati, Atmakrida, and Atmaram. He doesn't need anything external for him to feel complete or to get entertained. Okay. By the way, there are two kinds of bliss God feels. Right? Atmarati is there. He's anyway blissful. He's made up of bliss. But there is another category of bliss. What is that bliss? The devotee, when he engages in selfless love for God, and the bliss that devotee gets out of that selfless feeling, right, or the seva that they do for God, that bliss that the devotee gets, because God is seated within devotee also, soul of our soul, he also relishes that bliss, and that bliss is much higher than his own bliss. That is what our scriptures tell us. It's a very deep concept. So if you are feeling the bliss of God, what God is experiencing, that bliss that you are giving to God is much higher than God can feel otherwise. It's a very deep concept. Okay? So God tastes that bliss and he finds that bliss much more relishable than the bliss that he anyway has. Okay? So that is, if you want to please God, think of it. Feel his bliss, and the experience God will get will be much higher. And obviously you're pleasing him in that sense. Okay. So anyways, let's continue. Now, thus, even while doing all these kinds of action, they are still considered to be non-doers, because their mind is completely absorbed in serving as a service to God. They're not doing it for the sake of their mind. Only when we are doing it for the sake of our enjoyment or to cater to our mind, senses, or body, then it becomes binding karma. At best, it can become a sattvic karma, but nothing beyond that. Only when we relinquish, forsake, or give up the fruits of action, that is when it becomes a Shuddha Sattva or a Gunatit karma. Okay, so they are non-doers. Saints are non-doers. Because God has come, they are perfectly surrendered, and God takes complete control of their activities, and they are a mere instrument in the hands of God at that point. So their activities may look like a lot of action is happening on the outside, but truly speaking, nothing. They are not doing any action. See, if you look at Prahlad, right, Dhruv, King Janak, possibly we have seen them. If we had seen them, we would say we wouldn't have understood their God realized, right? We would have said, okay, this guy is a king. He goes around in a chariot. Then he has a family. He's a grihasti also. Then he had a son also. Then he's doing all this kind of things that normal people do, right? Householders do, or a king does. Not possible. May not be God realized. Possibly. No, we would have seen that. We can't understand that. So that is in action part, basically. Internally, there is complete inaction. It is not a binding karma, and at the same time they are non-doers, because they are perfectly surrendered, and God is just, they have just a mere instruments in the hands of God at that point. So that is the concept. So externally we cannot make out. That is a concept to be understood, right? Lord, even this, how does a saint talk? How do they walk? What do they wear? What did they say? We cannot make it out with our material mind. And they can do contradictory things as well. So this is the key concept. Now let's move on. And similarly in the case of Durvasa, if you look at, although Durvasa ate the delectable meal offered by the gopis, internally his mind only tasted the doob grass. In fact, it said that in advanced stages of bhakti, it's not that you become boring or you lose taste. It's like you are relishing so much of bliss that even the taste becomes secondary at that point. Taste is also one of the things where we are trying to fill the gap, extracting that bliss for our senses. So for them, it doesn't matter actually. Food becomes just a means of sustenance, maintaining this body, which is a vehicle for us to go from point A to point B to complete our spiritual journey. That is the stage at which they are situated. Even Shri Maharaj Ji, I mean, he wouldn't feel hungry, but when he would start eating, he would keep on eating as if, right, that people, food worth 10 people. Bring more rice, bring that. You think they're really, they just put on an act. That's what he used to do as well, a lot of times. So anyways, so that is what sages, saints do. What you are looking for is all okay. That was kind of a funny thing I saw, so maybe I'll put more context to it. Now this guy is looking for something in the refrigerator. It's already inside, and that's essentially what it is. We have the fountain of bliss inside, and we keep searching for it outside like a kasturi mrig. So anyways, let's move further. Now the key point here is, let's look at some of the key points, what we have spoken about. See, what I'm thinking is on Fridays, that's a Saturday morning, we are going to revise what we have done during the week. That's a good suggestion, by the way, Rahul, that you gave. I think that will help reinforce the concept, because we take detours and stuff here and there. I want to make sure we summarize it, that these are the key things we have discussed or gone through during the week, so that we know that we have completed we have reached a logical point. So we will revise that and have a good discussion around it. And I will try to get a little more deeper if I can get some concepts around that, and possibly a video from Swamiji as well. So Fridays we'll do what we have done during the week, and possibly some surveys and quizzes as well. We'll see how that goes. So let's look at some of the key concepts. So actions cannot be classified by external appearances. That's the first thing. It is the state of the mind that determines what is an action and an inaction. I think we have beaten this concept to death. So hopefully you have understood it very clearly. And people who are enlightened, their minds are always absorbed in God. When you are in devotional union with Him, in God, they look upon God as their only refuge. They are a nirashrit, anyonyashrit in Narad Bhakti Darshan. So they are not ashrit or dependent on anybody. God is their only sahara, and it is deep rooted in them that God will take care of me. They don't resort to other things like mundane people like me do, and they don't depend upon external supports as well. That is the key thing. They don't depend upon external supports. There's a story about one of Maharajji's satsangis, initial satsangis. He had told her to start for Vrindavan with 2 jodi kapda and nothing else. But then she thought, it's a long journey. Let me take some extra clothes and some extra money as well along the way. So she started off, and then along the way, she wanted to bathe. So she started bathing in a river and kept her spare stuff on the banks or somewhere around that. And while she was doing that, a monkey came and picked up all the extra stuff, including the coins, and in front of her dropped it in the river. Then she was reminded the instruction that was given to her by Sri Maharaj Ji. That's all. We have to forget about it, leave it to God. He will take care of it. And obviously she understood that at that point, right? And end of the day, she just had 2 jodi kapda, which she was instructed to carry, and that's how she completed her journey and became a great satsangi as well. So this mindset, that attitude has to be inculcated gradually and over time, because we are too dependent on people, emotionally dependent, physically dependent. Too many dependencies our mind creates, right? Just to fill the gaps that we feel. Third one is in this state of mind, all their actions, now again the same concept has come, are termed as akaram or inactions. So there's a difference between karam, akaram, and vikaram. Karam is good, but not good enough. Vikaram is bad and definitely bad. Akaram is best because it is karam yug. Okay, so let's move on. Bhagavad Gita, as you see, this is the story of life. Too young to read Bhagavad Gita, then too self-sufficient, too happy, too busy, too tired, and too late. So we should congratulate ourselves. We have started doing it sooner than later. All right. So today's topic of discussion is, as you can see, 2 different gentlemen. And detachment is not that you should own nothing, but that nothing should own you. And that is what I wanted to have a bit of a discussion on. Any questions so far? We can have a quick discussion on. Wanted to announce a couple of things, that next week we are going to have yoga festival starting. So the same slot, 9 to 10, would be taken up by different CIC teachers. We are going to have gems every day. Okay, look forward to those sessions. The different teachers would come and present something. We're going to finalize the schedule for that. So starting Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and even Saturday and Sunday, we are going to have 5 sessions. And on Monday, I'll be taking a session as well as part of that series. So from next Monday, the last Monday, we will have one of those sessions that I'll take. And then from Tuesday, we will continue like we do in Bhagavad Gita. But I wanted to let you know, from next Wednesday, this slot, do attend the sessions for other CIC teachers. They are preparing for it, and those are going to be wonderful sessions. And if you have not signed up, please do sign up. It's at a very nominal price, even the family camp that is coming up. And Swamiji is going to take Bhagavad Gita, which you're going to love, of course, and Gopi Geet. Okay, so it is going to be a wonderful, wonderful lecture series. Do sign up for it. I would strongly encourage you to do that and take benefit from it. And that's a couple of things I wanted to tell. Pallaviji can make some more announcements. Any comments, remarks, anything that you wanted to share, or any questions that we can take now and get this discussion going?
Everyone is trying to process the information.
That was not too much of information, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But
we have already learned this concept in the class before. Yes.
But this story, I really love this story, that Krishna and Durvasa story.
Beautiful story, yes.
Giving way to them. So what is going on internally is what matters. And then for sages and all, right? Even for Krishna, the people say that, he did this, that. But think of who's Krishna. If you truly understand the definition of who's Krishna, Krishna actually does only Premdan. His first expansion, Mahavishnu, which is called Pratham Purush, right? He's the one who, through whose bodies all the universes emanate. And then his second expansion becomes the Garbhodakshai Vishnu, which permeates all the universe and energizes them, right? Because of which the tilt, spin, action, and all that stuff happens in a perfect place. And his Tritya Purush is the Kshirodakshai Vishnu, who actually resides in our, as a Paramatma aspect of it, energizes our soul. So Krishna does only Premdan, and he is all us. Basically, it's his entire creation is his, basically. So there is nobody more intimate to us than Krishna himself. So this question of him going around with gopis, or it's not like material thing. He's the most intimate person that he has. He's simply giving you that perfection, that feeling of perfection of love. One only to those deserving souls who have perfected it. That is who Krishna is. And so all the leelas that they do, it is meant only for the welfare of the soul. It is part of his kripa to make them experience what they're truly capable of experiencing when they perfect their devotion. So it's purely born out of kripa. Same thing sages do as well. They have no prayojan or objective as such on their end because they are perfected already. Yes, now I can see.
Couple of
hands
hand
raised.
raised. Yeah. Sandhya ji, Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. First of all, I guess this concept of Krishna being brahmachari internally, that was, I think, mind-boggling to me. I mean, I did not know this, and it was new and interesting. So, but does it also mean that, I mean, does it suggest at some point of time that then physical actions may not matter if, like, because some people can also take it otherwise, right? Like, you're doing something wrong, but you're thinking, I don't know if it is possible that you can do something bad to someone while thinking nicely.
No, that is called hypocrisy. Okay, when you are not at that level, you are at the level of a soul, body rather. Then you have to look at it from a body standpoint. There was a story, right? This guy, he would talk to every girl and his wife's friends and all, and he said, "Everybody is God. I see divinity in everything, right? So everything is God. Why do you object?" So next day, his wife comes and he puts mud in his food. So he said, "What is this?" He said, "Everything is God. What's the difference for you?" So when we are not Samdarshi, we cannot claim that. It's only for people who are transcendently situated, not for ordinary people like us. So God's Leelas, we cannot take refuge in them to say, "Hey, he used to do that, so we also think the same." It's called hypocrisy. But when you are transcendently situated, you don't even have to claim that. You are there already at that point.
Yeah, and secondly, this picture about Bhagavad Gita is so nice, so true. I mean, this is so applicable in our real practical world. Thanks for bringing it up.
I can see a nice thing getting created around it for our Instagram. So go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, that's it.
All right.
Thank you, Sandhya ji.
Aryan ji, thank you for
Aryan,
the
yeah.
camera. It's always a pleasure to see faces.
Yes. Radhe Radhe, Aryan ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. So I like the story which you mentioned, Nitin ji, about Durvasa ji, and so many examples to illustrate the same point that it is the mind only which is the most important thing in our journey of spirituality, because you said one thing, that inaction and action depends only on mind. And there's a beautiful picture there, that one yogi is externally meditating, but in his mind is world, and other side is a person who is externally looking material, but inside he is doing karma yoga. So it is mind only that is a very core, which is the life of sadhana, as Maharaj ji says, and so beautifully expressed. So thank you so much for that.
To hear from Anji, where are you joining us from? I think, have you just started? Is it your first session today?
No. I have joined this session for the first time, but I am not new.
Okay. Where are you joining us from?
Yeah, but Bihar, India.
Patna. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know that. I have a lot of friends from Patna, Ranchi, and Jharkhand. So good to know that. Yeah, your name was in news, all for good, bad reasons. Okay, but that was not you, Aryan. I know that. So good to hear from. Are you a student or?
Yeah, student. Just give 10th exam.
Wonderful. Very nice. Good to hear from you. Love to hear more from you, Aryan.
Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Aryan ji. Ankur ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. What I wanted to ask was, how do we practice a karma? I mean, on a daily basis, and if in case we're practicing a karma, I mean, when we are doing karma, for that matter, daily actions, what we need to do. So, what is right? Is it a karma or is it the karma part that we need to do?
That's a good question. So first, let's understand why God has given us this concept of a karma. He knows that we are not yet ready, or we don't have that realization that we are a soul. We know we are a soul, but we've not truly realized it. It will take us a while. So karam sannyas is not an option. Okay. Then what do we do? Right? We cannot leave the world and start doing devotion. So we have to operate in this world. We have our duties towards our family. We have a duty towards our job. We have a duty towards, people around, and so many things which demand our attention. What do we do basically? So God says you continue doing your duty, but start offering the fruits to me. Don't do it for the sake of your own thing, for your own enjoyment. That motive you start purifying. The motive behind any action that you do, you start purifying, and that is called akaram. And that will happen only with repeated practice. In fact, I was exploring this app JK Yog today. There is a Karam Yog reminder there as well, where it will tell you every 15, you can actually set it up 15 minutes or 30 minutes. It will tell you that bring God to your mind. Okay, so we can be as creative as we want to have that trigger for us to remember that God is there. He's both my protector and my witness, and I have to offer my actions to him as a seva to him, not for my own enjoyment. So that practice will get deepened over time. Like any other thing, we did not know how to walk or how to bicycle or how to swim, but with perseverance and with practice, we got better at it, and finally it became our second nature. So same thing, we have to keep practicing this and keep triggers for us every hour, every 30 minutes, every 15 minutes to bring that consciousness that, this action is for the service of God. It is for his pleasure. It's not for, and then as we continue doing that, we will get closer to the akaram stage of it. Karam is simply karam. At best, you will do a better karam, good karam. That will take you to Swarg, and you'll come back again. So karam will not take us far. You are still not able to break this matrix of Maya. You will still keep rotating in 8.4 million species, because when we do karam, simply karam, without bringing God into the equation, sometimes you'll do good karam, sometimes you'll do bad karam. Right? We will not know that because we are not there as yet. And that will keep us binding to this material world. So we need to deepen our practice of akaram in our day-to-day life, and that is the way forward. And that is the whole concept of Karam Yoga. Hope that helps a bit. Thank you, Ankuchi. Yes.
Yes, go ahead, Ankuchi. Was he saying something?
Sorry, Ankuchi, you were saying.
I was acknowledging that. Yeah, I understood that. Fine.
Thank you, Ankuchi.
Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
Thank you for turning on your camera. It's the first time I'm seeing you.
Yes. Swati ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe, Swati ji.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. I just want to add one thing to this only, that externally we should put our 100% for doing any work, but internally we should feel that this is God energy and he is doing through us. So we are not the doer, he is the doing. And in the Krishna Leela also we saw Krishna did many Leelas and he never took the credit of anyone, like Govardhan Leela also. He always gave the credit to everybody.
Yep.
So we should learn from him that doing work, putting 100%, but not taking the credit, not being the doership, and internally feeling that I am not, he is the who is given the energy to do this work.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
Very good. That's exactly what sage Vashisht told to Ram. Karta Bahir Karta. Basically, do as if everything depends on you, but internally always have that understanding it's only through God's grace that you're able to do anything. And then, of course, have a prasad buddhi around the results that you get. Thank you so much for sharing that, Swati ji. Wonderful points.
Yeah, thank you, Swati ji. Nitin ji, if we can read a couple of messages from chat.
Sure.
Smita ji has mentioned the quality of our bhakti is action in inaction. We do karma, but where is mind? Is it in that karma?
True. Mind has a mind of its own for sure. So that is what we need to. So wherever our mind is what we get credit for, not for the physical drill that we are doing. It's for the mental drill we get the credit from God. So if we are that story of, okay, maybe I can get into that story a little later. We have Tavrit and Suvrit story. But yes, it's a physical actions, what we are doing from our body and our indriyas, they don't count for anything. Where our mind is, what God really notes, and nothing else gets noted.
Beautiful. Rahulji has mentioned very beautiful message. The state of gopis was full of vairagya, that all time is spent brooding over Krishna. Jit dekho tit shyama mai hai.
Jit dekho tit
Jit dekho tit shyama mai hai. Beautiful. Yeah.
That's true. So this world is a veritable form of God, and Paramhams are actually able to realize it. It's like Kabir Das ji said, right? Pani which mean pyasi, mujhe dekh dekh aaye aave hasi. So everything is God. Every atom is God around us, and still we are not able to experience it. So we are like that fish who's surrounded with water and still feeling thirsty. But once we follow the process, we'll be able to relish that bliss. Okay, all of us will be able to experience Krishna, I'm telling you, one day. So just hang tight and be hopeful around it. All right.
Yeah, Ganapriyam ji has mentioned that wonderful explanation on Akarma Yoga, Nitin ji. Being conscious that we are working and serving God only.
Yes, very true. We are actually. See, if we are not serving God in our mind, we are still serving God. Maya, his energy. So just tweaking in our head, that's about it. What has to change? You still have to do the same work. God is not asking you to do something different, right? You do the same thing. Just change your mindset, right? That practice, if we get it, that's all. That's all. It's obviously it seems easy, but at the same time, that is where the complication is, because our mind is so habituated of thinking the other way around. He's not asking us to stop. Love your child, have parties, do whatever you want. Just bring in the consciousness that you're doing it as a service. Obviously, your right activities will get streamlined as well, right? You will not be drinking your way to glory that I'm doing it for God. Obviously, your activities will get streamlined around it. But he said, bring that consciousness change, tweak in, and that's all is needed. Nothing else. But we find it so difficult to do that. But with practice, hopefully, we'll get better, right? With practice, they say everything is achievable with practice, and keep practicing it until you cannot do it wrong anymore.
Yes, thank you, Nitin ji, for this explanation. Sandhya ji wanted to read aloud a very beautiful message that she received from Urvi ji. Sandhya ji, Radhe Radhe. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, she says we should not try to change the external circumstances. Externally, we should neither seek nor avoid. And if we are not able to handle any situation, it is because of our internal defects in the mind and not because of any situation. Maharaji gives the message to change internally. He says you can eat a rasgulla, but rather than relishing the taste, you can relish it thinking that this is prasad. It is all in the mind.
Beautiful point. Very true.
Very deep. Yeah.
Even goes on to the extent of saying the next time you have an itch, right? Think Krishna is testing you. Okay. I mean, he's just telling us basically everything you can start bringing God into the mix, which is the desired state, of course. So, great.
Wow. Thank you, Urvi. Such a profound message. So we can move on and take others. There are a couple of hand raised. Meanwhile, please fill in the attendance tracker. I have posted a couple of links in your chat. You can see that.
I see G for the first time, so let's give him, and he's turned on his video as well. So
who turned on the video? Sorry.
Keshav Chopra ji, please.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, Keshav Chopra ji. I was just about to
turn on the video. Yeah.
Yes. Keshav ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. I'm a student of Bhagavad Gita alone, and I have attended maybe hundreds of lectures of Maharaj ji on TV. I'm in California, USA, and regarding this karam mein karam dekhna or karam mein karam dekhna, I had to struggle a lot to look for the solution. Then my mind went on to karmanyev adhikaraste maaphaleshu kadachana. So I started reading in a little different way. Not karma ev adhikaraste, but kriya man ev adhikaraste. क्रिया करने का हमारा अधिकार है. कर्म तो बाद में बनेगा या नहीं बनेगा, we don't know. Number two, because कर्म जितने होते हैं प्रकृति ही क्रियमाणानि गुणे ही कर्माणि सर्वशः. अहंकार विमूढ़ आत्मा करता हम इति मन्यते. Then the another श्लोका came, मनसा कर्माणि सर्वशः. मन सारे कर्म करवाता है. How? You know, प्रकृति, we see things, we smell something, then we want it, we like it, we go for it. So mansa makes it, the body go there and get that thing done. So when I came to this, how to get hit the ball, hit the point, then finally I got it. When I am doing meditation, bodily I'm not doing anything, zero. It's only by mind. I focus mind in the heart. When I focus in the heart, I recite 3 shlokas. Number 1 is different, like that Krishna, it is all from maybe chapter 15. Mamai ansho jeev loke, jeev bhuta sanatana. So there is a difference. Mamai ansho jeev loke, people have divided jeev, ansh, but from this shloka, from first part is ममई अंशो जीव लोके, जीव लोक जीव का है और जीवा सर्वाणी, you know, second part. The second shloka recites aham vaishno bhuta pranapande mamashrita. He is in the heart as Vishnu, Vaishnav Agni. Then third shloka, sarvasya chaham hirdi samnisto. Then he is there in the heart. When I go focus to that level, then he gives me the enlightenment. And then I found, doing meditation, it is mansa karmani. Then the final stage I have come. I'm not doing meditation. It is happening. I just sit and try to focus, then I forget. Om Jai Shri Krishna. Radhe Radhe.
Very nice, Keshav ji. Thank you for sharing your deep insights, I would say, and your experience around it as well. And I'm so glad you shared it with us, because a lot of us, I'm sure, have gotten inspired and gotten a lot of good nuggets around it. So thank you so much for sharing. We'd love to hear more from you in the sessions. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
All right.
Yeah, thank you. Nitin ji, Sam ji has asked that please explain what Keshav ji said in English. I think he did mention some of the couplets in Hindi, perhaps, I think.
Yeah, so Keshav ji, you can probably, if you get time, you can translate it and share it. That will be helpful to a lot of English speaking audience as well. Or if you can just send me, write up a brief synopsis of what you said, I can translate it for them. So
okay. I can speak Hindi as well, not a big issue. Hindi, Punjabi, Sanskrit, I speak a little bit, not much. तो मैं बोलूंगा जो चाहोगे. मेरा कहने का भाव ये नहीं है कि मैं अमेरिका में हूँ, पैदा हुआ पाकिस्तान में, डिवीजन हुआ तो आ गया इंडिया में. इंडिया में 40 साल 45 साल रहा, भारत में 45 साल रहा, वहां सब जॉब की, फिर यहाँ अमेरिका आ गया. तो मुझे सब पता है, हिंदी तो बिल्कुल ठीक है. ओके, समझ गया.
तो सैम जी को आई थिंक बहुत अच्छे लगे आपके शब्द. सो इफ यू कैन पुट सारांश, अगर आप दे देंगे.
सारांश मैंने एक प्रेजेंटेशन भी बनाई है गीता से, व्हाट आई गॉट एंड आई एम ट्राइंग. वो बहुत लंबी है, शेयर नहीं हो पाती, बट एनीवे इफ यू गिव मी चांस देन आई कैन शेयर ऑन दिस. इफ यू गिव मी टाइम, अगर आप मुझे कुछ समय देंगे तो मैं प्रेजेंटेशन भी दिखा दूंगा, जो अभी और उस पर फोकस करना चाहता हूँ. क्योंकि मेरे मन में ये था कि पहले मैं लोगों को जितना समझ आया कैसे बताऊं. वो कहते हैं ना, चैरिटी स्टार्ट्स एट होम. तो घर से ही तो शुरू करना है. घर वालों को भी नहीं समझ आती होगी. बहुत लंबी बात हो जाएगी. राधे राधे.
Thank you.
I'll get back to you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, sure. Maybe we can carve out some time for your presentation on one of the days. So please do fill out the attendance tracker. I'll be in touch with you. Yes, Lakshmi ji.
Yes, Lakshmi ji, Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. Yeah, it was nice session regarding karma and akarma. And this the picture you had depicted is absolutely right. Like on the left side is the thing, what is inside, what is outside is different. What's to our perception of each person And on the right side, yes, more than 60% people not are aware of what is Bhagavad Gita and what's the importance of that in the life. And the second thing is the remaining person, though they know, but they can't get into that and read. And the little percent, I think around 10 to 20% are graced to read this Bhagavad Gita in their life. So this thing is, all the kids before their adolescence, if they complete this Bhagavad Gita, I think this world will be very good for all those people who live ahead. And I remember my grandfather's words. My grandfather used to say, like, whatever you have, the material things for your comfort, that amount should accommodate into your mouth. So that inference is the minimum thing what is needed in the life, that's enough. The remaining thing, the one which doesn't accommodate, it should be given to the people who are in need. So in those days, I never used to understand those words actually. But seeing this statement, I realized that my grandfather used to say the same thing. But it took almost 20 years to understand for me that. So I just want to share this. Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
Thank you so much. But the good thing is clicking, which yeah, wish that could happen. But then I think if somebody had introduced Bhagavad Gita to me early on in life, I wouldn't have been able to appreciate it.
Yes.
That is needed when you are ready for it, you are seeking, and then it starts. Otherwise, right, like you said, we are so busy holding on to our unworthiness that we don't have time for.
Actually, whoever I say now, I started saying you should read Bhagavad Gita. Then my own house, like my brother, my other cousins, they say that Akka, you have I think you're crossing 50, so you have become old. That's why you're advising all this. Then I said, okay, if you think like that, it's your fate. But what I say is, just start whatever age you did. Don't think about the age. Just start reading. So now I'm thinking I should get this Bhagavad Gita book by Swamiji and start giving it as presentation on their birthdays. I just thought couple of days back.
Wonderful.
That's a great.
Bring them to this session and show them so many youngsters here. Say,
yeah.
None of them have touched 50.
But, so I am trying my own. I'm trying my own son to get into it, but I'm not able to.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yes,
Radhe, Radhe.
thank you.
New hand today, Prem Raji.
Yes, Prem Raji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Kumarji has turned on his video as well. For the first time, I'm going to see Kumar. Prem Raji, let's give Prem Raji a chance. Because
yes, Prem Raji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Nitinji. I just have a question regarding Durvasa saint. The question is, you already said that he is very famous for his temperament, anger.
Yep.
Now in Bhagavad Gita, they say that one should not get angry. If one gets angry, he moves away from God. Then how do you call Durvasa as an enlightened person? Because he is known for his temperament.
Very true.
That's my question.
Very true. So these sages also, they are doing leelas basically. They curse also, right? Now Brahma's four sons cursed this Jai Vijay, who became Ravan, Kumbhakaran, Hiranyaksh and all. So they are participants. Their anger and our anger, they are not apple to apple comparison. Okay, so they do it basically for the sake of leela. Even Ram Bhagwan showed anger for that matter. You know, when this what do you call that? Which Kaua, I forgot his name, when he bit Mother Sita, he actually showed his anger there. So their anger we cannot equate with that. Basically, it is part of the divine leela that they do. They show anger from time to time. Even Lord Krishna showed anger for that matter. When Bhishma, brought Arjun down on his knees on that particular day, and Krishna said, "I'm not going to lift my weapon," and he showed his angry form, red face, with all the dust on his face, and he took the wheel of that chariot and said, "I'm going to kill you with this." So when God does and these enlightened sages do, it's part of their Leela. They are not under the sway of Maya. They can see there are two aspects to it. One is, are we the servant of anger? Answer is yes, because anger calls us. For them, anger is their servant. They call anger when they need. So there is a technical difference between us and those sages. Okay, they are not impulsive. This anger, they can call on their will. Come anger, I want to use you. I need to use you for part of a leela or something. For us, we are called by the anger. So that is the only difference.
No, thank you so much. Thank you so much. You have clarified a long-standing point in my mind. Thank you so much, Nitin.
No worries. And Durvasa actually he does that on purpose. His seva is to trouble the devotees so that God gets glorified. Okay, that's what these sages do. They're, like Kekai picked up such a big role of becoming a villain. So these sages, they pick up these kind of roles also. And Durvasa is known for it, hot temper. Right? So we cannot compare what they are doing. Parshuram, he killed his mother. Now you will say, what kind of leela is that, right? So these leelas, we cannot really equate it apple to apples with the material sense. They are enlightened. They are already there. They participate in leelas, and these things are very much under very much under their control at that point. All right, let's take next one.
Yes, thank you.
Waiting for.
Yes, thank you for waiting, Kumarji. Thank you so much. Please go ahead.
Okay.
Radhe, Radhe.
Radhe, Radhe, everyone. I think I might have got a preference because I put my video on.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Time, so
probably first time, but I have been in certain sessions, yeah, which I have. Well, I thought, why not I introduce myself with my image as well. First thing I want to let you know, Nitinji, your shirt color kind of, I really like that color. So I just wanted to let you know about it.
My
so I need to get one of that sort. Sometimes some things like, suddenly interest me. Of course, these are all worldly things, but still, if it's not too bad a habit, I think it's probably okay.
Sure.
So again, Nitinji, I totally agree with you that we should not question this because, like people have come to me with questions. Why did Rama kill Vali? And I used to get really upset. I'm like, Rama can do no wrong for me. Lord Ram is, he is the epitome, right? And Hanumanji, anyone talks anything bad about Hanumanji, like, could really get a slap from me, like not a virtual slap. I don't want to slap anyone, at least. After going into the spiritual path, I don't think I should be doing that. But again, so many questions. Krishna had so many wives. Krishna had no wife.
Yeah, that is why, see, people say, what kind of a god was Krishna who had 16,108 wives? Something like that number was there, right? So the answer to that is why he was God. We can't even handle one wife. He could handle 16,108 wives.
Yeah, tell me about it. So, that's true. Like, I think we should not question it because there are so many things like Durvasa, as you said, fantastically how Durvasa's anger actually kind of, whenever you have a good villain, that's when the hero looks better, right? So that's what it is. And as all these people are enacting a drama for us to understand the Supreme, right? Because sometimes we don't understand if it's a normal person, we don't understand if, let's say, God comes to us in a normal garb with toned jeans, we would not even know that he or she is God, right?
So, by the way, Krishna were to, sorry, I didn't want to interject you. If he were to take an avatar in the contemporary era, obviously he'll not come in Pitambar. He'll be a cool dude, he may come in a jeans and stuff like that. So we can't bind God in a particular stereotype or an image, right? So we don't know how he might take an avatar. Obviously, we have a frame of reference 5,000 years back, which in cosmic sense is not even a blip of a second, right? But hypothetically, if he were to take an avatar today, obviously he'll be much more contemporary and trendy, I would imagine.
Exactly. Yeah, I think we just cannot expect. And so now I know, of course, not to question any of these things. Just take the best ras out of this, the bhakti ras. For me, again, Ram can Ram did that for a reason. Now I know the reason as well. But again, it doesn't matter. Krishna did a few things, but overall he wanted to uphold dharma, right? For that you have to do certain things, and that's not bad either, right? So to do dharma, sometimes you have to do what in those days were adharma. In these days, I don't know what is adharma anyways. But so the other thing is, I think someone was saying about, how to get your family into this spiritual path or learn Bhagavad Gita. I have to tell you, I have this, the distinction in this, that I have introduced Swamiji and the book and with spirituality to probably around 50 people during my last how many over years, where, I have to tell you, I've been successful with no one. And I used to feel so upset. And I didn't understand this. I'm like, what? They don't understand this? I have wasted so much of my time. Why? And I'm giving them clues, even to my kids as well. And no one wants to take it. Then I realized a couple of things. One is each person, when you get this on that each person's soul, they have a different journey. Like there are some kids in our classes, right, who can understand things and fantastic. And there are many old people. Many of us are more on the material side. So it just happens, cannot. And that's when this, your beautiful slide, and I copied you made a screenshot of your slide, the detachment. You just tell whatever is good. Do not expect the results of what's going to happen. And that way, what happens is, which I have tried in a few areas as well, gives immense true happiness inside you, that you have done your part. Whatever is left is in God's hands.
Yes.
So when you do that, it's like, you're happy, you're doing the right thing. You feel happy that it's done, and you don't worry about the results. Thanks, Radhe Radhe.
Very good points. Very true. In fact, okay, please fill out the feedback tracker in the meantime if you have posted it, Pallavi.
Yes, I have.
The whole argument about Ram killing Bali and all those questions that come up in our mind, right? I would counter it by saying, who told you so? Where is it written? Right? What is the answer one would give? I don't think so. Who told you so? Ram did that. Right? What is the answer you can expect from the other person? Anybody? Maybe somebody can unmute and tell me the answer. I said no. Who told
Either
you?
from books or from someone else, or
who told you so? I mean, Kumarji, let's take let's have a dialogue on that. You said Ram killed Bali like that, right? I said no. Where is it written? Where did you come to know about it? You'll say, what will you say?
From Ramayana, right?
From hearsay, from someone
from,
told me about the story of Ramayana, and that's where I heard it from.
So you trust Ramayana, basically. It's in Ramayana, right? It's in Ramayana, so you trust Ramayana, and that is where you came to know about it. Okay. Ramayana also says Ram is God. Ramayana also says God is all perfect and his leelas are perfect. Why don't you pick that part and say, okay, why is it not making sense to me? So why are you selectively picking up one part only, that he killed Bali? And I want to really know the reason about it, right? Ramayana also says he's God. The definition of God also is given by Ramayana, that God is all perfect, his leelas are all perfect. Why don't you reconcile it with that and say, why am I not able to understand? In due course of time, I will get to understand. Maybe I'm not there as yet. So we need to focus on the message as opposed to getting hung up in these things, because this is just intellectualizing God, which will not take us very far.
Exactly, Nitinji. I totally agree with you. And nowadays I don't even need to explain, because I'm pretty happy with my this one of it, and I'm in peace with that, right? I know what's happening, or at least I understand it, and it doesn't affect me. And if you are a person, basically you're trying to find some kind of defect, right? Which is where what your mental this one is, right? You want to do something, find defect. How are you getting any happiness from it? Probably not. You just want to find some fault. So I think it's just best to let these people travel their own journey, and we just travel ours.
All right, great. Let's move on.
Thank you.
Hands raised as well.
I see Samji's hand is raised for quite some time.
Samji, please go ahead.
Samji, Radhe Radhe, please go
Radhe
ahead.
Radhe.
Thank you for waiting. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you.
Difficult question of the evening.
No, Nitinji,
Just kidding, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
I'll ask all silly questions.
No.
Okay. So in Bhagavad Gita it is said, I mean, do the duties prescribed to you, but do not do others' duties because it is against your nature. It is out of your nature. Even though if you do it perfectly, I mean, if they are able to do it perfectly, why is it that said like do not do others' duties? I mean, what's wrong in it?
Do not do others' duties. Krishna is not saying that. He's saying do not imitate.
Emulate, yeah.
Okay, it's better to do your duties as per your nature as opposed to trying to imitate somebody else. Right? We spoke about that story of a dog and a donkey. So what happened, that donkey used to work the whole day, the hard labor he would do, and the owner would give patting to dog, love, cuddle the dog itself. So the donkey thought, you know what, although I do the hard work, dog gets all the love and affection from the owner because he barks at night, and that is more important to the owner. So what does the donkey do? He starts barking in the night, and then he gets a nice beating from the owner. So that is the point. There is a nature that we have acquired, and there is a reason for that. So Krishna is saying to Arjun, you are a kshatriya, you are a warrior. So perform your duty as opposed to saying, I will become a karma sannyasi and I will go to the forest and meditate. He said, even if you go there, you will get few people around, form your own army and start fighting wars. Right? You've seen people who are of the temperament of business-minded people. Even if they go into jail, they will start a small business there. People who are the temperament of giving gyan, they will find 4 people and start giving that. So we are governed by our nature. So Krishna says your odds of success of performing your duty in accordance with your nature is high. So just go with that. Don't try to imitate when you're not there. That's essentially what he's saying.
Okay, and this question, I don't know if this can be answered or not. So they say, see, take the example of Jagadguru Ramanujacharya. It is said he is actually Adisesha incarnated, but then they also say that Adisesha incarnated in the Ansha of Adisesha and a few other weapons also.
Okay.
So what is the difference between incarnation and Ansh? Like taking Ansh, they can take multiple Ansh from.
For that, you have to come to session when we pick up 4.34. Not all the questions will be answered today. Okay. So, Sohansh, Vibhinansh, all that stuff we'll discuss in detail when we get to the 4.34, get close to the Guru, introduction of Guru, when Krishna brings in that concept. So it's not a 2-minute conversation for sure.
Yes. That was one difficult one.
And another one,
By the way,
Nitinji,
just to give you a sense of it, I'll not completely answer that question. The weapons, the abhushans, all these things of God, they're not ordinary cloth. Okay, they are also Paramhans who has taken upon that seva. So the anklets that go, Radharani's, right? The flute, the disc, all these are sevas taken up by Paramhans. They're not ordinary people. So the sounds that comes is also divine out of them. That is what our scriptures explain. So it is possible that the weapons, avatar, and those are purely, they're not the regular weapons. They are Paramhans who have taken up that seva, and as part of their seva, they could take an avatar as well to serve God. That is essentially what it is, briefly, but we'll get deeper into that concept.
Yeah. Okay. So they also say that gopis are the sages from Treta Yuga, right?
A lot of those were in
Few of
Treta.
them.
When Ram was going to the forest, a lot of people who actually perfected their devotion in Madhurya Bhav, Ram couldn't have done it in Maryada Avatar.
Oh, so,
All right,
so
I will meet you. And even when he was going around Ayodhya, so many girls, they fell for him, right, Ram. And then he just kept on giving them tathastu, tathastu. Okay, when I will come in Dwapar in full form in Krishna Avatar, then I will people who were eligible. He actually married, 16,108. Obviously, you can understand. So that is where it was. Yes, so a lot of them were actually sages in that Treta for sure. And a lot
So
of them.
those sages are different from the sages in Dwapar Yuga who like have refused to offer food in when Gopas, like cowherd boys, went and asked for food, right? But their patnis.
Yeah, two mixing. You have to mix in two different things. Those sages could be different. The ones who did not offer food to Ram and Balram, why they are the same? They were Vedantis reciting big mantras and refusing to offer food to God. Say, hey, we are doing Vishnu Seva right now, right? So there's no relation between those sages and the ones we are talking from the Treta.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sages.
Thank you, Nitinji. Yeah, I see a couple of hand raised. Can we move on to others as well?
Sure, let's do that.
Yeah, so I see Ravina ji's hand raised for the first time. So if we can give a chance.
Ravina ji,
Ravina ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead. Ravina ji, yeah, please. Oh, I think we both are trying to unmute. Yes, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe everyone.
Radhe.
This is just my, I guess, 4th or 5th session. I'm very new to JKO and I've just started listening and understanding. So about today's session, when we were talking about Ram killing Bali and people getting upset, so just these thoughts just came to me. I wanted to share and wanted to know if I'm on the right thinking or not. That we think that, according to what I have understood, is that we judge these stories and we judge these people according to our human abilities and what is right and what is wrong to us in our lifetime. And for us, killing and dying is obviously a very bad thing, and that is the end in this lifetime. But for God and for cosmic world, it is not the end. For Bali, maybe for Bali's soul, it was not the end. He died at Ramji's hand, from Ramji's hand, and maybe that was a good thing for his soul. So, and we also judge Krishnji and Ramji. I also am fault at doing that in my younger years. That Krishnji married so many women, and Draupadi had 5 husbands. But these things, good and right and wrong and morality, changes according to the times of the human society. Something which was okay back then is not okay now. Something which is okay now will not be okay maybe 100 or 200 years later. So I don't know, I'm right or not, but this is what I think and feel.
No, good points. Thanks for sharing that, Ravina ji. Where are you joining us from?
I'm from Gurgaon, India.
Okay, Gurgaon. Good to hear you and glad to have you on the sessions. Love to hear more from you. That is true. One part of it is that, another part of it is these are part of divine leelas also, right? So we cannot understand these things with our 2-finger worth of intellect, especially.
Yes.
And
Our view is very limited in that sense. And
if somebody gets an opportunity to get killed by God's hands, if you understand, if your Tattva Gyan is pakka, nobody will give up that opportunity. Because God is, whoever he kills with his hands actually goes to his abode. So nobody would like to forsake that opportunity, to be honest. Okay, it's a lifetime opportunity for that.
Literally lifetime, once in a lifetime.
Once in a lifetime, and God clears off his debts. Basically, we should just stay assured around that. He clears off debts in Krishna Avatar. That Bali thing, he gave that to Jara, where he. So there are all links. They are links. God never keeps his debts anyway with anybody. So we just have to take it on the face value rather than putting our intellect, because it doesn't help our devotion in any way. Let's just focus on our devotion.
And also it can, in today's world, when we see bad things happening around us, happening to people, watching news, even to our relatives, and we feel that God has not been just, or this is not justice, how is it fair? Then we can maybe think it in that regards that, in this lifetime, maybe that is what is supposed to happen, because the soul will not die, the soul will live on, and maybe the soul journey will not end, it will continue. So maybe we can take it in that sense also.
Ravina ji, please keep attending the session. We have had extensive discussions on this topic and we'll keep revisiting these topics. We don't have to
Okay.
Yeah.
spoken about topics and then we'll continue revisiting those. Great. Maybe we two more.
Yeah, I think it is a kind of the topic. Jyoti ji also wanted to answer this question. So, Jyoti ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Pallavi ji and Nitin ji and everybody. Yeah, to answer Ravina ji, it is stated in Bhagavatam that one time Narad Muni came to visit Bhagwan ji. And when he came there, he noticed that there were one palace per Rani of Krishna Bhagwan. And in each palace, Krishna Bhagwan was present in his own form. He might have been playing with the children, playing Ludo, or meditating, or just sitting there, eating dinner, talking to his wife. So there was no immorality in Krishna Bhagwan marrying 16,108 wives that he took on, because he took that many forms and there was one Krishna for every wife that he married. I just wanted to say that. Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Yeah, it's a beautiful Leela where Naradji is saying, okay, Krishna, every time Naradji is coming, I think he's welcoming them as if he's seeing him for the first time. So many Krishna had expanded himself to so many forms, basically, one for each queen. And then he had thousands and thousands of kids as well, right? And look at the level of his detachment. All of them, they fought with each other and got killed, and he was completely detached to that process when he closed his pastimes. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jyoti ji.
Yeah, thank you, Jyoti ji. Keshav ji, Radhe Radhe, thank you for waiting. Please go ahead.
राधे राधे। ये बहुत अच्छा सवाल था, राम जी ने बाली को क्यों मारा। मजे की बात यह है कि वो त्रेता में हुआ और ये द्वापर में कृष्ण भगवान आए। कृष्ण भगवान जी ने गीता में सिर्फ दो पात्रों का नाम लिया है, एक राजा जनक जी का और दूसरा पुरुषोत्तम श्री कृष्ण जी का। चैप्टर 10 श्लोका 31, he said पवताम आस्मि रामा शस्त्र वृता अहम। तो वो क्लियरली कह रहे हैं कि शस्त्रधारियों में श्री राम मैं ही हूँ। और जब वो खुद राम हैं और गीता में अर्जुन को तो कह रहे हैं तू क्षत्रिय है, तेरा कर्म युद्ध करना है, मारना है। तो भगवान जो खुद राम थे तो वो क्यों नहीं मारेंगे बाली को? Why to hesitate? पीछे हम डरे क्यों कहने में? ओपनली हमें कहना चाहिए यस, वो शस्त्रधारी हैं, शास्त्री हैं, तो इसलिए उनको मारना ही है। क्षत्रिय का तो काम ही यही है ना, वो ब्राह्मण तो नहीं है। Anyway, in my short, thank you for letting me come second time.
Yeah, thank you so much, Keshav ji. Wonderful. So we look forward to your presentation one of these days. I think we have come to the end of the session. Tomorrow we will discuss the next shloka, and we will get into a courtroom to discuss that. Okay, so just giving you a teaser around that. Look forward to another engaging discussion. And like I said, on a Friday we will do a quick recap of what we have discussed throughout the week. That way we continue to retain a mental map of where we are, because we keep on taking details here and there. All right, one person for yesterday, I think Alji didn't get a chance, so for our closing prayers, and then we will wrap up today's session.
Yeah, who didn't get chance for closing prayer? Was that Payalji yesterday?
Yesterday, yeah, she didn't get a chance.
Yes, Payalji, you'll get the chance today.
Surendraji, you were
again today.
Just about a second late today.
Radhe Radhe Payalji, please go ahead.
Let's start.
Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukbhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Palji. Radhe Radhe. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day, great rest of your evening, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Nitinji, for another awesome session. Thank you, everyone, for participating so enthusiastically. Have a blessed day. Have a blessed night. Thank you, everyone. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, everybody.
See you tomorrow. Good night. Have a good day.